Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Trustees, Village of Burr Ridge, May 23rd. First order of business, of course, is the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by a Burr Ridge resident and then student of St. John of the Cross, Samuel Morgan. He's here tonight with his dad. He's a fourth grader. His favorite school subjects are PE, art, science, and he loves to play basketball. He will play basketball for the school next year, not eligible until 5th grade. His out-of-school activities include basketball at Score Fitness. He swims in the Lyons Township team at high school, as well as scouting. He has a couple pets, a dog, hamster, guinea pig, and he wants a bearded dragon, but Mom is holding the line on that one. Family vacation this summer to England, where I know his father is from, likely in August. His mom, Vanessa, Vanessa's dad is Damien, and he's one of 4 children. So, Samuel, if you'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United
States of America
and to the republic for which
it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Karen, may I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Francis.
Here.
Trustee Grasso.
Here.
Trustee Paveza.
Here.
Trustee Bolus.
Here.
Trustee Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Scialpa.
Here.
Mayor Straub.
Here. And the first section, of course, the next section is the residents' comments. Are there any residents that would like to address the board at this time? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda or the omnibus vote. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed. Minutes, we have 5A, approval of regular board meeting on May 9th, 2016. 5B, receive and file draft scavenger franchise agreement subcommittee meeting of May 9th, 2016. C, receive and file draft stormwater committee meeting of May 10th, 2016. We have D, receive and file draft pathway commission meeting of May 12th, 2016. E, receive and file draft plan commission meeting of May 16th, 2016. And F, receive and file draft economic development committee meeting of May 17th, 2016. We have 6A, approval of an ordinance granting a special use to permit the expansion of a restaurant with service of alcoholic beverages and live entertainment. That's Z06-2016, located at 510 Village Center Drive, known, of course, as Cooper's Hawk. Under resolutions, we have 7B. That's adoption of a resolution amendment, authorized amendment to water tower lease agreement, T-Mobile Central, LLC, to extend the existing lease. We have 7C, which would be adoption of a resolution authorizing the village to enter into a contract for the purchase of electricity from the lowest cost electricity provider for the purposes of street lighting. We have 7D.
Remove.
And 7E.
Remove.
Under considerations, we have 8B, approval of plan commission recommendation to approve fence variation to permit a 7-foot tall solid wood fence located in an interior side yard and a front yard rather than a requirement that fences not exceed 5 feet in height and be at least 50% open and be located only in the rear yard. VO 216 located at 638 Regford Road, Bryant. We have 8C, ratification of approval of emergency purchase for repairs to lift station. 8D, approval of requests from I&M Canal National Heritage Corridor for donation from Hotel Motel Tax Fund to the village's 2016 annual dues. 8E, approval of requests from the Flag Creek Heritage Society for donation from Hotel Motel Tax Funds for the Robert Veal House Museum. 8F, approval request from Burr Ridge Park District for donation from the Hotel Motel Tax Funds for the Park District's 2016 Harvest Fest event. 8G, Approval of fiscal year 15-16 vendor list in the amount of $295,675.89 for all funds, which includes a special expenditure of $18,795 to Kramer Tree Specialists for the spring brush removal program. 8H, approval of a fiscal year 16-17 vendor list in the amount of $135,975.81 for all funds, plus $241,785.24 for payroll, for a grand total of $377,761.05, which includes a special expenditures of about $16,535.90 to Kramer Tree Specialists for the EAB treatments. May I have a motion to approve the following items on the consent agenda? We have 5A, 5B, C, 5D, 5E, and 5F. Ordinances, 6A. Under resolutions, 7B, 7C. Under considerations, 8B, 8C, 8D, 8E, 8F, 8G, and 8H. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Grasso.
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Bolus.
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa.
Yes.
Trustee Francis.
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you. What I'd like to do is go back to the consent agenda items first before we get into the resolutions, and by asking Chief John Madden to join us up front with Officer Dan O'Connor. What I'd like to do is of course, this has to do with an item that was on the consent agenda that was pulled off in special recognition for Officer O'Connor. It's for adoption of a resolution of appreciation recognizing 25 years of service to the Village of Burr Ridge. What I'd like to do first is read it and have you make a few comments, and then have it officially passed. Okay. What I'd like to do is a resolution of appreciation recognizing 25 years of service to the Village of Burr Ridge for Officer Daniel O'Connor. Whereas Officer Daniel O'Connor will, on May 27, 2016, mark his 25th year of employment with the Village of Burr Ridge Police Department. And whereas Officer Daniel O'Connor has served as a patrol officer, field training officer, detective, and acting patrol officer in charge. And whereas Officer Daniel O'Connor has seen many changes in the Burr Ridge Police Department in the last 25 years and has played an important part in these changes. And whereas Officer Daniel O'Connor has provided dedicated service to the village residents over the past 25 years and has brought to his position the qualities of integrity and loyalty. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Burr Ridge, Cook and DuPage Counties, Illinois, that Officer Daniel O'Connor hold a place of esteem in the minds and hearts of the residents and employees of the village, and has offered our sincere congratulations on the completion of 25 years of service, and has adopted this 23rd day of May 2016 by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Burr Ridge. On a roll call, may I have a roll call, please?
Or motion.
Or may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Now may I have a roll call?
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa.
Yes.
Trustee Francis.
Yes.
Trustee Grasso.
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa.
Yes.
Trustee Bolus.
Yes.
6-0.
Approve this 23rd day of May 2016 by the Board of Trustees. Roll call vote.
Thank you, Mayor and Board of Trustees. Hold on, Dan, don't go anywhere. I got to brag about you a little bit. 25 years, I've worked side by side with Dan for almost 7 years in detectives. We were detectives together. It's been a long time. I could have created a 3 or 4 page resolution there, but I had to keep it to one of all the things Dan has done. A lot of ancillary duties, a lot of high profile cases, tons and tons of letters from citizens. I had a phone call last week, true story. Dan responded to the County Line Square to help a lady, very distraught, and a type of call most police departments, some police departments wouldn't even respond to. It wasn't a police matter. But Dan responded, because that's what we do. What happened is she dropped her drink in the gear shift area of her car, which rendered it useless. She just come out and bought a bunch of groceries, and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't know that she called me, but she was just beside herself at the kindness of Dan O'Connor, Officer Dan O'Connor. He took her home with her groceries, and also brought all the groceries all the way inside the house for her and helped her out. And she called me. She's a resident of Carriageway, beside herself. I listened to her for about 10 minutes. That's just one example. That's just one example.
I'd like to add one. He came to our rescue when the day my daughter was born, 21 years ago in January, and that's how long I personally have known Dan, and it's I know you can go on for a lot longer. I'm sure many people in this room can as well.
We're proud of him. His shift is proud of him. His shift is here. His sergeant's just walking in, and corporal. So we're all very proud of him and like to personally congratulate him.
Thank you. Congratulations once again. And now I'd like to move on to the other one, which is we have another officer who is celebrating a great anniversary with the village. This is a resolution recognizing 20 years of service to the village, Burr Ridge, for Sergeant Michael Barnes. Whereas Sergeant Michael Barnes will, on June 10th, 2016, mark his 20th year of employment with the Village of Burr Ridge Police Department. Whereas Sergeant Michael Barnes served as a patrol officer, detective, corporal, and sergeant. Sergeant Barnes has seen many changes in the Burr Ridge Police Department in the last 20 years. He also has played an important role in these changes. Whereas Sergeant Michael Barnes is an active member of the Illinois Chapter of Concerns of Police Survivors, known as COPS, and volunteers his assistance to Illinois law enforcement agencies on how to respond to the tragic loss of a member of the law enforcement profession. COPS also assists the families of police officers killed in the line of duty and provides resources to help them rebuild their shattered lives. Whereas Michael Barnes has provided dedicated service to the village residents over the past 20 years and has brought to this position the qualities of integrity and loyalty. Now, therefore, by the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Burr Ridge, Cook and DuPage Counties, Illinois, that Michael Barnes hold a place of esteem in the minds and hearts of the residents and employees of the village, is offered our sincere congratulations on the completion of 20 years of service. May I have a motion to approve the resolution recognizing 20 years of service for Sergeant Michael Barnes?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Official roll call.
Trustee Bolus?
Yes.
Trustee Grasso?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Schiappa?
Yes.
6-0.
Sorry, I'm just reading the script here, and well, congratulations, and motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I could have created a 5-page resolution for Mike, too. Very hard worker, and you can see his character, his integrity, his work with cops. He volunteers his time. He's responded while he's on vacation to help other police departments in the state of Illinois. He's brought a lot of recognition and praise to the Burr Ridge Police Department with his work that he does with cops and on the national level, too. Inside our agency, he's like Dan, he's got a lot of ancillary duties. He's an instructor, firearms instructor. I can go on and on. Right now, he's a commander of our detective unit, worked on a lot of high-profile cases, and is well-known throughout the county with his work with the Major Crimes Task Force, too. So we're very proud of him, 20 years, and I hope he stays a lot longer. Thank you.
for the board, just want to mention that we have scheduled a lunch to celebrate these anniversaries on June 16th. You're certainly invited to attend, and at that point, we'll present these resolutions and to Dan and to Michael, and as well as a gift that we have through our anniversary gift program as well. So I just want to let you know that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again. Next item under resolutions is 7A, consideration of resolution declaring village property surplus real property and authorizing sale of Rustic Acres, 9400 Garfield Avenue.
Yes, per the direction of the village board, I've attached the resolution revising the sale price of the village-owned property at 9400 Garfield Avenue, known as Rustic Acres, from $1,850,000 to $1.5 million. In accordance with the law, we'll have to create a new survey and title commitment, which we will do within the next few weeks. So it is our recommendation that the resolution revising the sale price of the Rustic Acres property at 9400 Garfield be changed to $1,500 and that the resolution be adopted. $1.5 million and that the resolution be adopted.
I'll take it at the 1500.
Yeah.
But can you just give a little explanation of what prompted that?
Well, we recently hired an appraiser to look at the property, look at the value of the property. And of course, the first appraisal, the higher number was done before the recession, and it's about 7 years old, so we thought it was time to take another look at the value of that property. And we felt that it was proper to try to reduce the price to make it more in line with what the actual value of the property is at this point.
Okay. Any discussion? Do I motion to approve 7A?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
Trustee Bolas?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Grasso?
Yes.
6-0.
Motion passes 6-0. Under considerations, consideration of recommendation of the Economic Development Plan Subcommittee and the Economic Development Plan Committee to approve the fiscal year 16-17 Economic Development Plan.
Yes, the Economic Development Plan was first created through the input and guidance and direction of our Economic Development Plan Subcommittee, which included Mayor Straub, Trustees Francis and Murphy. They spent several meetings reviewing various aspects of the plan, which I'll go over in a minute. The plan was ultimately recommended for approval by that subcommittee, was presented to the Economic Development Committee. They just recently met to review it, and they have approved it with no changes. And so what you see before you tonight, which you received under separate cover, is the proposed economic development plan. Notice it has a year on it, fiscal year 16-17. It is our intent and the intent of the Economic Development Committee to keep it updated on an annual basis. There's a lot of basic information that we'd like to keep updated, plus we want to keep track of the strategies that are being proposed in the agreement, in the plan, and with the idea of keeping track of our successes. I've shown at on the screen a table of contents. The first section is what we call our economic profile. That's something that we've had in place now for a number of years, but we've updated it, added to it, provides some basic information about our community and the services that we provide. Section 2 is really the meat of the program, and I've went too far there, which includes a business retention policy. How do we maintain the businesses that we have? An economic incentive policy to potentially attract new business, Again, in addition to that, a business attraction and recruitment policy. And then Section 3 is a description of our business sectors, including office, manufacturing, retail, restaurant, and hotel sectors. And there's a description of these business sectors and a list of proposed strategies for each of those sectors. And then in Appendix 1, we break down all of the business areas throughout the village, and there are 11 of them that we have designated here. And within each of these areas, we provide some maps, some statistical information, and then, again, a list of strategies as they relate to each individual area. And then in Appendix 2, we have a vacant property list that we want to keep updated to let people know who might be interested in looking for vacant property, commercial property in the village, where those properties may be located. And then finally, Appendix 3 is something new that staff added, is just a business checklist. This is something that the Economic Development Committee had added to the economic profile a few years ago, and we thought this would be something we should put in so it stands out. We hope, as I said, in the future to have an Appendix 4, which will be then, a listing of all the achievements that we've been able to make in regard to economic development ongoing in the future. I know there's a lot, to absorb in just a short period of time, but 4 out of 7 of you have obviously been intimately involved in this. And for those that haven't, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
I have lots of questions. This is quite, a lot of work has been done on this, and I do appreciate the work the committee did. But this, residents need to know, this changes our village. Here is changing the sign ordinance, and I'll read some of my highlights, adding billboards, changing zoning, changing the comprehensive plan, adding an entertainment center, to me means theaters, adding economic incentives, relocating the Pace parking lot. There's a lot in here to have given this to us 3 days before you want us to make a decision on it. I think at the very least, the Plan Commission needs to have eyes on this and take a look at it. And was the entire subcommittee present and gave its input at the Economic Development Committee meeting?
No, but again, this was their recommendation to the Economic Development Committee, and the Economic Development Committee made no changes. So this is their proposal, and realize nobody's changing anything. These are just strategies to consider. These are strategies to pursue.
Well, let's take a look at the sign ordinance, Steve. We had the Plan Commission, a subcommittee of the Plan Commission, look at the sign ordinance. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago? And some very impressive people were looking at this sign ordinance who are experts in the real estate field. And they have determined that our sign ordinance is fine. It does not need to be changed. Now, all of a sudden, we need to change things.
Well, there's maybe a difference of opinion between what occurred back then and what maybe the members of the subcommittee and the Economic Development Committee see. But in regard to that, again, all we're talking about is the idea of bringing up the subject. So all we would do is take it to the Plan Commission and say, here are some suggestions, what do you think? And that's how we would go. Nobody's trying to change the world. We're just talking about, here are some strategies, some things to think about, things to look at. And many of these things, once they're thought about and thought out and looked at, we may not go anywhere. But again, there are some people, Diane, that may disagree with you or look at things a little differently, and they would like to have these issues discussed and taken a look at. And it all may not be done, within the next 6 months, but ultimately, as developers come forward and they request additional signage or come forward with different types of plans, that we'll keep an open mind. I think that's really all we're talking about here.
Excuse me,
one thing
Trustee Bowles, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Please. Now, just for clarification, this plan, if approved by the board, does this automatically override everything, tell the Planning Commission what to do, or does the Planning Commission ultimately have to make decisions on all these items?
No, this is really trying to give staff some direction in terms of again, looking at some policies and ability for us to make some presentations and as they come forward. We're not going to do anything in terms of a billboard on the expressway, but if a developer comes forward and makes that presentation, at least what we're saying here is that we'd be willing to at least take a look at it. That's all we're saying. We're not saying that nobody's giving anybody carte blanche. Nobody's saying that it's sight unseen, it should be approved. All we're simply saying is that we will keep an open mind when it comes to that particular issue. And again, I mean, I think we spent a lot of time, with the wording on some of those types of things to make sure that people knew exactly what we were talking about here. And again, it's something that we're just keeping an open mind on.
If I may, one thing I've learned is when it becomes to this, it's more than just keeping an open mind. You go back to this. And I don't understand how, at the very least, we don't have the Plan Commission take a look at this, since 3 of those Plan Commission members took a look at that sign ordinance and come to a meeting of the minds as to why there needs to be a change, if there needs to be a change. There are a lot of things in here that the Plan Commission, it will affect their decision-making. I can't see how we can pass this without the Plan Commission looking at it. This isn't just, well, this is an idea.
Anything that we do in terms of signage will absolutely have to go to the Plan Commission, and there's no question about that. So if anything comes up, if anything's being proposed regarding signs, whatever the case may be, it will start with the Plan Commission. So they're certainly not out of the loop here. They're at the beginning of the loop. All we're saying here, I think the subcommittee and the Economic Development Committee saying that these are some things that they may want the Plan Commission to take a look at. And the Plan Commission, once they take a look at it, may say, well, we have looked at it and we don't think any changes are warranted. Or that we disagree and we recommend not moving forward on any of these strategies. But ultimately, it absolutely will go before the Plan Commission. You're putting the cart before the horse.
I don't think so.
If you ask the Plan Commission to presuppose these issues, these are things that the Economic Development Committee and the subcommittee wanted to have taken a look at, and all we'd be doing is asking the Plan Commission in these cases to take a look at it.
But I think at the very least, you should have the Plan Commission look at this plan and get an opinion from them before we pass anything. It is ultimately, this is going to go back to them. And yeah, they'll look at signs, but they're not going to look at economic incentives. They're not going to look at other things. The comprehensive plan, we're looking at changing a comprehensive plan. You want to change zoning by the Marriott again. That's in here. And we saw what just happened with that.
Well, again, these are the things that the committee, the subcommittee, and the Economic Development Committee feel are things that should be looked at.
That's fine, but I think the Plan Commission should also take a look at it.
They will when we bring these...
Before we approve this.
When we bring these things up, those issues will be reviewed by the Plan Commission. We're saying that this is just a statement of interest. It's all it is, and as time goes on, ultimately, anything that's in here that deals with the Plan Commission will be sent to the Plan Commission.
Right, you said it, that deals with the Plan Commission. This is not just a statement of interest. This is a meaty document that you will follow to the rule.
But Diane, I understand, but people have a different idea of how, to look at how these issues, and some of them are, the committee is basically saying these are things we should look at, and who should look at them? Ultimately, it'll be staff working with the Plan Commission. And so they will see these things if we bring them forward, and if we don't bring them forward, nothing's going to happen.
Excuse me a second.
No rush.
Excuse me for a moment. I think unfortunately, we're repeating a lot of the same things. So what I'd like to do is get everyone's opinion, make comment on this topic. Now, I know, Diane, you have a difference of opinion, for example, for a sign for the village center. We've had that discussion before. There are those that want it and those that don't. But it is the board's role, ultimately, to give guidance to the Plan Commission, though we do accept advice from the Plan Commission, as you well know. But it's ultimately the board that determines the direction. and then ultimately has to go back to the planning commission. Is really all that
Correct, and to get this 3 days before we have to determine the direction of the village?
Well, that's another issue altogether. I just said that I know it's short notice for those that haven't been intimately involved, and if you feel like you need more time to review it, well, then you can ask, for this to be tabled for another couple of weeks. But as I say, 4 out of 7 of you have been intimately involved in it, and I think there's a reason why you...
Which 4? 3?
Well, the 4th being Tony, who's on the Economic Development Committee. And so, again...
as well as residents.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Now, let's just start from the top. Guy, do you have anything you'd like to comment about this?
Sure. Steve, maybe you could enlighten the residents as to how the idea for economic development plan came about.
Well, it's a good question. The village board held a goal-setting session, and it was Trustee Francis who brought up the idea at first, and it was ultimately approved. This became I think, a high priority goal. And this is something then we right away formed a subcommittee of board members and members of the Economic Development Committee. And as I say, this has been a year in the making, basically, in terms of a lot of input, a lot of discussion, a lot of minutes of those meetings that have been, that people have had a chance to review. And ultimately, here we are.
So it came as a result of our goal-setting session. It was one of the 2 high-priority items at the goal-setting session, and it was an achievable goal that we felt we could achieve. So that's why it was addressed. So Steve is correct. There were a lot of meetings. There was a lot of hard work by Steve and by Doug Pollock to get to this point. There were a lot of reviews of the draft copies, a lot of comments and questions, and input from the committee members, most all of which was incorporated, and I thought staff did a great job in getting us to this point. Steve, you bring up the point about keeping an open mind, and so when a petitioner brings something before the Plan Commission, all Plan Commissioners that I've ever worked with, served with, and continue on the board, always kept an open mind. So this is another tool. But I would disagree with you on something, and I'll give you an analogy. For example, when the petitioner came before the Plan Commission last week concerning the 10,000 square foot lots over in the corporate park, it was mentioned that 10,000 square foot lots violate the comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan recommends 30,000 square foot lots. And so the comprehensive plan is used as a tool to help guide our village development. Much like this economic development plan will be used as a tool to help guide the economic development of the village in the way that the residents would like it to be developed. So it's more than just keeping an open mind. It's a tool. Okay? And the committee members and myself, we went back and forth on many of these things and gathered a lot of input from the residents and so forth before this document was published to the Economic Development Committee. And I struggle with and oppose the one portion of it, which is the high-quality expressway down sign. That's just out of character in our village, in my opinion. Electronic billboard sign has been brought before the Plan Commission on 2 occasions for informal discussion, and there has been absolutely zero support from the Plan Commission on it. It violates our sign ordinance. I think it's out of character of the village. So, but everything else in this, I support. There's some good ideas in here about, so for example, the TCF property or, the Pace property, but some of those things may never happen. You may never see the Pace bus station relocated in our lifetimes. It may never happen, but should it happen, we need to have a plan in case it does, and this is a tool for the plan. So that's all the comments I have for this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Francis. Trustee Grasso?
Yeah, I think the Economic Development Committee and the subcommittees should have autonomous permission to develop this plan. That's why they were appointed to these committees and subcommittees. They're being said, and as Trustee Francis said, it's a tool. And so if it goes before the Plan Commission, and the Plan Commission that's sitting on the board at that time disagrees with whatever's being proposed, it won't pass. So I think this is wonderful. I think it's a lot of hard work. I think it's a lot of thought-provoking subject matter, which is what you want when you're trying to move forward with the village.
Thank you. Trustee Paveza?
In reviewing this, I could see a lot of hard work went into it, and I think it's very well done. I don't see anything in here that is making any kind of a statement of finality. All its stuff is, like Trustee Francis said, it's a tool, and it's something of a way to guide people and to guide us in dealing with the business community. And I think it's a very well done plan, and I don't see where it like I said, finalizes anything. Anything out of the ordinary still got to be brought before the Plan Commission, before us for a vote. So I don't see a problem with approving this.
Trustee Bowles, would you like
Yeah,
anything else to add?
yes, I'd like the minister to reflect that I really think that the Plan Commission should take a look at this, whether it's a tool or not. It is something that directly affects their decision-making. And I don't understand the hurry. It just got approved, and now there's a big hurry to get it done now. If it's a tool, if it's no big deal, it's just recommendations, then what's the hurry? Let the Plan Commission look at it, and let's do it in 2 or 3 weeks or a month. Nothing has changed as far as a developer coming, and we haven't looked at their suggestions, or the Plan Commission looked at it. This isn't going to make them look at it any differently.
Well, without a plan in front of them, I'm not sure what they would be talking about. I mean, sure, they could say, well, our opinion is that we don't like signs or billboard signs, but, you know, most of these things, you know, really need to see a plan in front of you before they could say yes or no, and there's going to be no plan in front of them.
But we didn't have a plan for the development that came before them last week, and they worked through it okay.
So, what do you mean they didn't have a plan? They had.
This wasn't here.
Well, I understand that. Well, but that's the whole premise behind having an economic development plan or not. And I think the board felt during the goal-setting session that they wanted it.
And I don't disagree with what everybody said. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment put into this. Just let's get some more eyes on it. There's no hurry to get this passed right away. That's red flags. That makes the hair on the back of my neck go up.
Trustee Murphy?
I think a lot of hard work went into developing this plan. It was very well thought out. A lot of us spent a lot of our personal time on it. And we're really proud of what we've come up with. The point of it, to me, is to communicate to businesses that we're open and that we're interested in doing business, and we're open and interested in growing as a community. And I think it does a great job of that. So, you know, I think it's fantastic the way it is. I wouldn't be opposed to waiting 2 weeks if you feel like you need to dig into it a little bit more.
I'd like the Plan Commission to look at it.
Yeah, I understand. You know, I'm not opposed to that. I think maybe 3 days wasn't enough time for you to look at it, and if the Planning Commission wants to look at it as well, I'd be interested in what they have to say. But you know, I think Guy was correct in what he said. It's a guide and it's a tool meant to help the Planning Commission make decisions and help businesses come into the community and work together with us to come up with, you know, the right kind of businesses to bring into Burr Ridge. So.
Thank you. Trustee Gava?
After reviewing the economic development plan, you can see that there was a lot of work put into it, a lot of thought. I want to thank Trustee Francis, Trustee Murphy, and everyone that put their thoughts into the plan. I have a lot of respect for the Planning Commission, and you know, it's fine for them to see it. But at the end of every vote, that the Planning Commission Chairman Trupek says that they're only a recommending body, and that's what they are. We have the final say on what gets enacted. And I agree with Trustee Franzese that this is a tool that we can use to move the village forward, and we have that final say on that.
Thank you, Trustee Schiappa. Final comments?
Yes, I have no problem waiting 2 weeks or to the next Plan Commission meeting, letting the Plan Commission review this. I would certainly want to hear their valuable input. There's no hurry. I mean, it's 125 pages long. It'd take me very long to review it because I worked on many of these pages. I read them several times over, but the other trustees that had 3 days to review it, maybe they want another chance to read it. Certainly the Plan Commission can give us some valuable input. I'd like to hear their thoughts and make sure that, so 2 weeks is not going to hurt anything, I don't think.
Actually, I believe it's 3 weeks the next meeting, but...
3 weeks? Okay, 3 weeks next meeting.
Steve, you had...
Well, I have no problem if the trustees want more time, but I'm not sure that this going to the Plan Commission before it gets approved, because again, we said it's a tool, we're trying to provide some ideas and interest, and I don't want the Plan Commission, I know some of the Plan Commission will say, just like you said, I'm opposed to that.
That's fine, that's what I want to hear.
But why would you want to hear that before they even see a plan in front of them? And we wouldn't be presenting them a plan unless and until a developer came forward and provided. And they may change their mind and say, wow, this is pretty nice, the way you presented it, and there may be something that they could agree with. But, so again, I think you're putting the cart before the horse by asking the Plan Commission, their opinion on all these issues. Again, there's a reason why you have an Economic Development Committee. There's a reason why we had a subcommittee of board members. And otherwise, we could have just given it to the Plan Commission and let them decide. And I think that you have, the Plan Commission has a role to play at the appropriate time, but I think I would recommend that this be kept here and that the board ultimately approve this. And as Trustee Francis says, he doesn't agree with everything that's in here. I understand that. And you may not all agree. It's just like a budget. Not everybody agrees with everything that's in the budget, but you approve the budget. And when the issues come up, on those individual issues, then you have an opportunity to vote yes or no on those things. But it's a plan. And I think you have to look at it kind of the same way. And that's why I'm hopeful that you'll just go ahead. Now, if you want to wait because you feel you need more time, that's one thing. But again, I don't think we should wait, because I don't know what the Plan Commission schedule could be. You're talking about it could be a couple of months before they have a chance to review this. And I would have liked to have had this approved back in January. It just wasn't able to be done because of the timing of the Economic Development Committee and so forth. But I would just like to get this out. I'd like to get this in the hands of the business community. And I'd like to get people thinking that Burr Ridge is pro-business. And that doesn't mean carte blanche. That doesn't mean anything goes. On the contrary, if we read these policies that we have, I think we're being very conservative. And I think it's in line with what prior boards have done and how we've handled these types of things. But I really feel that this is important, to get out and let people know that, we have an economic development plan.
I really don't understand what's
happening.
happening.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't know he was going to talk.
See, 1 second.
Yeah, sorry.
Trustee Professor wanted to talk and speak next.
Yeah, I don't have any problems in waiting 2 or 3 weeks if somebody needs more time to review it. But I just don't see how the Plan Commission could get involved when there is no plan to present to them on the size of lots, on the size of a business, on size of a billboard, on the size of a sign, the type of sign. There is no plan before them, so I can't understand how the Plan Commission could be getting involved in it. If you want to wait a couple of weeks, I don't have a problem, but I just can't see sending it to the Plan Commission.
Trustee Bolus, do you want to speak?
Yes, I would. I don't understand why they can't take a look at it before we approve it. They don't have to do anything formal, they're just looking at it. And we are telling them to change the comprehensive plan. We are telling them that we want zoning changes, sign changes. It is everything that affects
We're
them,
not changing any zoning.
you know? Well, you're looking at changing O2 to residential by the Marriott. We're looking at, let me see, I took some
Well,
notes.
we're looking, but nobody's changing. There's no plan
Correct.
before anybody.
But there wasn't a plan before to do it, and someone brought the project forward. So I don't understand what the rush is, quite honestly, why they can't look at it. It's not going to take up their meeting time. They can all just individually read it and send comments if they want.
Well, excuse me one second. Let me just ask one question of you, Trustee Bolus. If Chairman Schupak or someone from the Planning Commission looked at it, and they a majority said, I agree with the concept of, for example, getting a sign I-55 to look at, to let everybody know that we have a village center. If they agreed on that, would you then, would it be okay with you to approve it?
I would look at their
Is that what-
comments,
is
and
that
I
what
would
you're
look at
waiting
it.
for?
I just really think they spent a lot of time on signage, for example, a couple of years ago, and to just dismiss all that work, it'd be like dismissing this. It would really upset the committee. I mean, we should work together. The committees should work together, the commissions.
Well, we're going to work together, but we're not always going to agree, and I apologize for that. And I really have to take the blame for I'm certainly was one a proponent of, for example, a sign for the village center, and I think that's certainly something I think should be discussed personally, and that's why I certainly supported that in the subcommittee. We used to be a no shopping village too, but now something like that to spur business. I know many of the trustees ran on the idea of making us open for business. By the way, I loved Trustee Murphy's comment about being open for business, because on the front door, on the door of the governor of Wisconsin's personal office, I saw that he has a sign that says "Open for Business," Wisconsin open for business, and that's kind of I think the statement of the economic development plan overall was to let them know that we're open for discussion, because things do change, and we certainly want to embrace and support both current and future businesses. So I apologize. I didn't know it would cause this much of a rift just to have the tentative guide approved, but I think that I happen to agree with Steve. I think I don't think looking at it, having 12 more eyes or look at it, it's going to change the final outcome. And ultimately, this is the board. Okay, we are ultimately the ones who make that decision. Now, we certainly have tremendous respect, and we do have to work together. We're not always going to agree with each other. But the board, it's the chairman, I'm especially the chairman of the board, this is the official board of the village, ultimately makes that decision, and I think it's our fiduciary and responsibility to give recommendations to the Planning Commission, but of course, we'll be listening to them if a proposed plan might be proposed, might be brought forth. So, is there any other discussion or any motions on the floor? First off, any other discussion on this topic? Okay. Trustee Schiappa?
A motion to approve the fiscal year 2016-17 economic development plan.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion on 8A? Roll call, please.
Trustee Schiappa.
Yes.
Trustee Grasso.
Yes?
Trustee Francis.
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa.
Yes.
Trustee Bolus.
No.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
5-1.
Motion passes 5-1. Thank you for your input and spirited comments. Under other considerations, for announcement, deliberation, and/or discussion only, no official action will be taken. Steve, anyone else? Comments? Casey? Hearing no one, we're back to the residents' comment section. Are there any residents that would like to address the board at this time? Yes, sir?
I was kind of short at the switch when you buzzed by it the first time, so I didn't have to listen to all this stuff. One comment about what you just voted on. If it was so good, couldn't you wait 2 or 3 weeks? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just burns up citizens. I'm here about the smart meter. It came to my attention about a week ago tomorrow, that they're going to shove smart meters down our throats. I kind of thought it was a Naperville problem from about 3 years ago. Kind of laughed about it for a while. But there's something up, and I want to bring it to your attention. I called ComEd last Wednesday, and expressed to them I do not want a smart meter. I was bullied, I was cajoled, I was hollered at, I was lied to, that it was a law. It is not a law. Well, the ICC says, and I said, that, ma'am, that's a ruling body, that is not, they do not make law. What really concerns me is that I've had 3 calls from ComEd within the 48 hours after I made that call. Something is up. Something is hinky. When you say you do not want something and all of a sudden they're trying to cover their back end that quick, my experience as a fairly successful businessman, something is not kosher. What I'd like to ask you is, why haven't we known about this? I got the newsletter last week. It's about 4 or 5 sentences. Mention it in the newsletter. Tiny little thing, as almost as an afterthought. There are some very serious concerns about what they can garner from you, garner from me. They can limit your energy. I sit in a very large house because my family is gone now, it's just my wife and I. 2 people, 3 air conditioners, 3 furnaces. They can say, well, you're using too much energy. We can crank you down. They're going to tell you when you can wash your laundry at 10 o'clock at night. This is insane. This is like Big Brother. What concerns me more than anything is you all have not alerted this village. It should be on every single piece of literature that goes out. This is what's coming. I got this from Lisa Madigan's office. The very first thing on it, she urged you to understand smart meters, its benefits and its pitfalls. If the Attorney General of the state of Illinois is concerned about this, why in the living daylights are we not concerned in this village? Why do we not know about this? It's like it's a hidden secret.
Okay, sir, may I have your name, please?
My name's Blake Hennessy. I live at 43 Deer Path Trail. I'm a 32-year resident.
Okay.
I'm a little bit older than 32.
Well, I think that certainly very valid concerns. I know this has been a discussion for multiple board meetings. Now I know our village administrator knows the most about how this all happened and can walk you through it as much now as if you'd like.
Well, first of all, we did have a meeting here at the Village Hall where Commonwealth Edison came out and presented the program. Again, this is not a village program. This is a Commonwealth Edison program, and this isn't just in the village of Burr Ridge. This is all system-wide based on state law. And you say the ICC rulings, well, we'll disagree.
ICC.
Well, you and I disagree then with that. But regardless, we did.
Mr. Hennessy, may I ask you to at least listen to Mr. Stricker, and then you can answer. Please don't try to talk over him.
We did tape that meeting. Of course, all our meetings are taped, and you can see them on YouTube. That's where they're at. But we took out that specific discussion regarding the Commonwealth Edison meeting, and that's on YouTube, for residents to review. At that meeting, Commonwealth Edison outlined the information that they were going to present to the residents in terms of when the program was going to start and provide them with basic information. And I don't know whether you as a resident have received anything yet, but they outlined, how often you would receive this information before the actual program would start. And so we rely on Commonwealth Edison. It's their program. Again, this is a statewide program that they're doing. We relied on them to provide that information. We certainly have been, as the mayor mentioned, we've been talking about it at every meeting. We've had one other resident raise several concerns regarding this subject, and as a result of that, we've asked Commonwealth Edison to respond to that resident, and we will have an administrative meeting to discuss those concerns, and as a result of that meeting, I will present the board with a summary of findings as it relates to those the answers to the questions that are being raised. So again, we are trying to provide this information. We have several sources to try to communicate with our residents. Our website, our newsletter, our Friday e-briefs program. I don't know whether you signed up for that. We have a village app now that provides a lot of information regarding that. So all these things were published and publicized, during that process. And we try to get our residents to sign up for these programs so that they can, use the newest technology to get this information to the residents. Unfortunately, not all residents, have realized it and have signed up for these types of programs. But we do the best we can to try to get that information and that word out to the public.
And there's one additional before you respond to Steve Stricker, is that a lot of stuff, frankly, even we didn't know about until one of the residents, James Holderman, brought it to our attention and brought it and said, what, maybe there are some red flags here for us to be concerned about. And that's exactly why we kind of try to put some of the brakes on it and ask for this administrative meeting. And I'm not sure how all that's going, but we're doing the best we can, and based on the information we're getting. Now, this was actually initiated through legislation in Springfield, correct?
Again, yeah, absolutely. And when we say put brakes on it, we don't have the ability or the control to do that as a municipality or any municipality, but what we're trying to do is just fact-finding. There's been some issues raised, and we want Commonwealth Edison to respond to those issues. I've seen the same literature that you have, that the Attorney General has raised concerns. A lot of them, have to do with privacy issues and so forth, and how you use this information and to become educated in the process. But unfortunately, it's not a system basically of, well, we can choose as a municipality to have smart meters or not. We're going to be stuck with them. Now, an individual resident like yourself can decide and tell Commonwealth Edison that you don't want those meters. You'll have to pay more because they'll have to come out and actually physically read your meter, and that's part of the process. But we're not going to be able as a municipality to say to ComEd, leave us alone.
I didn't ask you to do that. All I'm asking you is that I talked to 8 or 10 friends of mine in the village. Not one of them, not one, including me, ever had a clue about this. Now, they're not dumb and numb and hiding under a rock. They're functioning citizens of this village, and they didn't know. I have not gotten one piece of literature from ComEd, or one piece of literature except for last week in the newsletter about the smart meter.
It's coming then.
Pardon?
It's coming then.
Yeah. All I'm asking for is to alert the residents of this village that this is coming. Do your homework, then you can make the decision. It's like a secret, and that's what's concerning.
It's hardly a secret. I know some people think the Armed Forces Day event was a secret, because nobody heard about it.
Well,
but there are things. Trust me. If I wasn't so intimately involved in the village, a lot of things would go way past me, and I wouldn't even notice. But this is something that has been at least top of mind, a hot topic around here for months, and it looks like it. And by the way, unfortunately, even we're already 2 minutes over the normal.
Okay.
Past the normal time. If we'd like to have a separate meeting to further discuss. I mean, we have, or if you'd like Steve to give you an account of how many times it's been mentioned to help you feel a little better, but trust us, there's no benefit to us to hurry this thing up. We're just, we're following ComEd's direction and what recommendation from Springfield, and as this thing gets rolled out, much like other things are, from our vendors or our utility providers. So,
obviously, ComEd is not. You can't control ComEd.
I wish I could.
15 years ago, with all the problems with the trees and everything near the power lines, I understand that. All I'm asking for is a more upfront notice information so that the citizens of this village can be informed.
And we appreciate your feedback on that, because from our standpoint, there's been a lot of outward notice. Trustee Murphy?
I'd just like to ask you, what do you think is the best way to communicate with the residents? Do you think it's a letter in the mail?
That might, yeah.
Or do you think it's a Facebook page thing?
No,
or do you think it's
I think a letter in the mail. You attempted to do it with a newsletter.
Okay.
That was a start.
Yep.
But it was so small in there. I mean, this is an important.
Yeah. Oh,
this is
I agree
serious.
with you. I'm 100% on your side, and I plan to call ComEd myself. And
be prepared to be bullied and ignored and screamed at on the phone.
Yeah. But I think it's the right thing to do, and I absolutely
would
like
letter,
to alert
yes.
residents. So maybe we should do something like that. We should also probably put out an update on our Facebook page just to alert residents that this is what people think.
Or the website.
And also the website.
Well, if I may also, we need not to just put, in the newsletter, it was just a positive spin. Yay, ComEd's putting smart meters in.
Exactly.
We need to tell folks, you have to look at this, and this is why. Make your own decision, but don't present just the positive ComEd side. We have to present the other side also, as Lisa Madigan did.
And I think maybe it's a good idea. I know you're trying to set up a meeting with ComEd and James, but I really feel like ComEd should come in here again and speak to us. And that in the letter that we send out to residents, I want it to say that, residents should come to this meeting and listen to what ComEd has to say, and they can ask their questions.
But let's see what ComEd says first, and you'll have the opportunity to see that, and then you can make that determination, and then we can hold that meeting if you'd like.
Aren't they starting in July to start putting these in?
That's what they've said. If nobody's received notice yet, it's not moving as quickly as they had said, if that's the case. All I'm suggesting is let's follow the plan that we've outlined, and let's understand. Again, some accusations have been made, some concerns have been raised, and let's get response from ComEd, not just from their PR person, but from people that really understand the science and the issues. And then you can review that information, and then we can take it from there. And then we can certainly hold public meetings, whether you want to hold it at a board meeting or you want to hold a separate special meeting. These are all things that we can talk about, but let's do it one step at a time. And we're going to try to do this as quickly as possible, so that so we have that ability to do that. And again, we could send out letters, and we could, and it costs money to do that, by the way. But again, that's fine.
It's a public safety issue.
That's fine.
It's important.
But I lost my train of thought. But my thought was that you could send letters out, and people won't notice it or won't realize it. The husband gets the mail and the wife doesn't see it, or vice versa. Or they just think it's just junk mail and they throw it away. And so you never win when it comes to these kinds of things.
I agree.
But I would agree with you that we can put all the emails out and all the Facebook pages and all the things on the website. But an old-fashioned letter is probably still the best.
But let's not let ComEd bully us.
Trustee Grosso has a comment.
Yes, we did see that the flyers that ComEd is going to send out, and of course they're very slick and attractive and very informative, but it does not say on the flyer that you can opt out. And as you say, Trustee Murphy, maybe we should also inform the residents that there are concerns, there are health concerns, make your own decision, and you may opt out. Mm-hmm. So instead of just getting the flyer saying, this is our great, wonderful smart meter and it will be installed soon, maybe we owe it to our residents to also then say, but it's your choice. you will have to pay more if you choose not to, but you may opt out if you have a safety
That's a good
concern.
idea.
Right, that's what we
That's a
said,
very
we got to
good
get both
idea.
sides. And let's not let ComEd bully us and delay like they want to do.
No, the only delay is the fact that I'm going to be gone for 2.5 weeks, and then I wanted to be involved in that meeting and be able to, get both parties there, and I want to make sure that, that all the questions are being answered, and that ComEd comes with their professional people, and we're getting the right answers, and I want to hear those answers. And that's what's holding this up. Otherwise, and we've got a meeting scheduled, as you know, and so the second meeting in June, I will be able to present to you what I found, and working with Mr. Holdeman, I'll present you those facts, and then I think we'll all be a little more educated in terms of the specific concerns that Mr. Holdeman has and the specific answers that we receive from Commonwealth Edison, and then we can go from there.
And once that's done, and queuing up on something that Trustee Grasso and Murphy mentioned, I think Trustee Bowles would agree that could the summary of that, then could you assess what the cost of that would be to send a letter to all the residents?
About $1,000.
And then that wouldn't require any special vote then?
After the meeting on the 27th, whatever that date is, you can direct me to prepare the letter, and as I say, we'll have a little more information. We can provide, we can let people know about where we put this information if we want to provide it to the public. And if you decide you want to have a special meeting, then we can schedule a date and put that in the letter as well. No sense sending two notices. So I think we can kill three birds with one stone here with that letter.
As much as we like to believe all the positive spin on it, that scene out of the movie with the woman in Texas, I think, with the oil companies. What?
Oh, I know which one you mean.
Karen
Yeah.
Brockovich.
And Brockovich.
Oh, Brockovich?
Yeah.
That pops in my head. Because we don't think that is there something more to it, and we appreciate the concern.
I don't even
and
understand the medical part of it. I certainly understand the privacy issues. That's, to me, more of a concern. Trustee Grasso had a good idea. If you're going to do this thing, open it up so an idiot
So more
can
people
understand
know.
it.
More people know their options.
Yes.
Yeah, and
if
this is.
they choose, that's fine. It's kind of funny if it's a state law, you can opt out for an extra fee. I didn't know that you could do that with laws, but
And we're all.
Yeah.
We could do that with all the laws.
Yeah.
And we're all learning from it ourselves, and we're listening, have an open ear. It certainly caught our attention. That's why
Thank
we've
you.
been.
If that'll initiate some sort of a notification for everybody, then you're forearmed, and then you make your own decision.
I get it.
Thank you.
We get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now the gentleman we were just talking about.
I've got to do some clarifying just to help the board understand. The number one issue is
You need to introduce yourself.
32 Deer Path Trail.
James Holderman.
James Holderman, 32 Deer Path Trail. I think first I want to thank Mr. Hennessy for coming out and spending his time to, raise the concerns and issues that he did. I know it's a sacrifice when the residents take the time to do that. I know that they have personal sacrifices that they're making. The second issue is that there actually is no opt-out. ComEd is I've heard from other people who have called in, they will tell you there is no opt-out. They kind of leave it at that. They use the word delay, okay? The ICC uses the word deferral, okay? Why ComEd chose to use the word delay? I assume because maybe that's a little bit better understood than the word deferral to a majority of the people of Illinois, but that's the word that they're using. It is a delay that they are offering. We accepted that delay under duress and with complete protest that this was an unacceptable condition to be in. So that was the first point that I wanted to make on that. And ComEd will not just, when you say I want to opt out, they're going to say there is no opt out, and they will leave it at that. So it is not something that they are kind of just offering up, even when you call in, at least as it's been reported to me. Number two is on the schedule for ComEd coming out. I presented a list of questions to ComEd through our village administrator. I am more than happy to provide a updated and amended copy, which I will be sending to ComEd tomorrow, of those questions to every member of the board via email, if that is what the board, if the board would like to see that.
Great.
So ComEd's schedule, working around Mr. Stricker's vacation, leads us to a meeting that is going to occur on the 16th of June and will not be reported to the board till June 27th. I was on the phone with ICC today, and ComEd is on an accelerated schedule, and my family did receive a notice in our bill. It was a little flyer. I spoke with an attorney today who mentioned that he got a notice. It did not mention smart meter. It mentioned we will be upgrading our equipment or something similar to that. So one has to be informed to even understand what they're telling you. And this is all just information that I'm receiving from people I'm talking to. You know, I did get the notice in the bill, in the mail, but I haven't received anything that said smart meter on it. So then number two is on the law, and I happen to be holding the law right here, Illinois Commerce Commission order. It is the submission of rider NAM, non-AMI, which stands for Advanced Meter Infrastructure. This was a tariff filed on September 20th, 2013. This is the document that the ICC is using, and ComEd marches around saying it is the law that ComEd customers have a smart meter. Okay. ComEd customers may be required by law to have a smart meter insofar as that they are customers of ComEd, and ComEd is required to install that. ComEd may cut you off. That's number one or two of my questions that you will be receiving. What's going to happen to these customers who retain their analog meter after a year after the deployment, or when they come back around to deploy it? Are you going to cut people off because they are defending their Fourth Amendment right and the health of their families from a possible risk? So I just wanted to clarify one thing for Steve, that we are not alone in this who are saying the question of legality is a genuine question. This is reading from here. ComEd's position, and this is on page 13. In its initial brief, CUB, which is Consumer Utility Board, asked the Commission to reject this sunset provision contained in ComEd's tariff. Gives a cite. CUB argues that the Commission should reject ComEd's sunset provision because customers can legally refuse an AMI meter, and because customer concerns regarding smart meters should be addressed through education and discussion, not through forced meter installation. Okay, CUB is saying customers can legally, and I want to use the exact word here, legally refuse. I haven't gone that far. I have said the people of Illinois are not legally required to accept a smart meter. This is CUB, Citizens Utility Board. They've got a staff. I'm a single person working very hard on this. They say a customer can legally refuse it. I'd be really interested to see where they base that on, and I think that would be a great piece of ammunition, because ComEd has marched in here, into this board, and said it is the law. Okay. So as Blake's acknowledged, and I believe in the board, each board member, when they took their oath, said that they would support the Constitution of the United States and the Illinois Constitution, and this is a violation of the people's right to privacy and security in their own home as recognized by the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Lastly, I want to just say that there is a precedent being set here, and I am now on page 14 of the order. ComEd states it believes, and this is ComEd's position, that this issue should be left open for future consideration, and further notes that it is not readily apparent that customers have the right to legally refuse. It is not readily apparent to refuse AMI meters, and this is the thing that grabbed me, or any other equipment used in the provision of electricity. This is a slippery slope. A smart meter could someday be deemed as other equipment, or a smart thermostat, rather, could someday be determined by ComEd and the ICC to be necessary equipment in the provision of this service.
What document is that, James?
This is, and I should have made copies, this is the Illinois Commerce Commission. I will pass it around.
The Illinois Commerce Commission, right?
Yes, Illinois Commerce Commission. This is submission of rider NAM, non-AMI metering tariff filed September 20, 2013.
And that was that what was voted on in Springfield?
No. This is, the legislation was voted on. You will read this, and you will be surprised at how the ICC came to their decision. You will be shocked. I was shocked. This is the ICC's order, where they say, so be it ordered, or whatever the language is at the end of this. This is their order. I believe that's all I have. I'll just quickly look at my notes.
So next.
And I'd be happy to pass this around, and I would be happy. It was not that easy to find on the ICC website, and then I called and talked to the director of the Consumer Affairs Division, and he verified that I was holding what was being used. So that is all I have for the board tonight, and I am at the board's service. I have got, at this point, 250 hours in on this subject, and binders and binders and binders of material at home. Resident expert, even though I'm a complete amateur in this whole area, in every aspect of this area.
I envy your passion. I want to know where you get your energy.
You know what? Belief in the Constitution of the United States and the desire for the long-term health of my child.
That'll do it.
People cannot get motivated, not necessarily in that order. If people cannot get motivated on that, there's something wrong.
Thank you.
James, did you run across, are they still doing it starting in July?
I was informed that I was informed that they will be, I'm not going to say. I believe that they're scheduled to be here in July. It would not surprise me if they were here early in July.
Well, when we meet with them, we'll find out exactly their schedule.
Well, when we meet with them on the 16th, the board needs to be informed
on June 27th.
Before the 27th of June, or whenever that meeting is. Because getting this information out, getting this letter out, and you know what, even if it is just informing people of what Lisa Madigan said, the Attorney General of Illinois, that would go a long way. And people have no idea. I've talked to probably over
and what was again, I know there's a great connection between Lisa Madigan and Michael Madigan, like his daughter. Now, what was passed? Now, maybe a separate discussion. You can send me whatever it was that was actually passed by the legislature down there to make this help this advance. It's that plus the ICC.
Yes.
Over and above. I'm as leery as you are of government overregulation and some things that they're doing. So, but we appreciate your passion.
Well, and I will add one more thing. I put together a website, www.thesmartmeterletter.com, which is an open letter to the people of Illinois. My willingness to put my name out there in this forum, or even a forum like the World Wide Web, demonstrates without question how important I believe this issue is. I've been to this board and before this board 5 times. I've spent 250 hours of research on this subject. I think we, as the people of Northern Illinois, need to make some effort to secure our families and our rights as recognized by the Constitution.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
So how do we get a letter out?
Trustee Francis?
Maybe the gentleman could forward some of the links to the documents that he has found to the village, and they could be put on our website, so let the residents read the information that he's reading and make their own decisions.
I will forward the documents. Not links, I will forward the documents. And the
we would
board
prefer
can-
links.
Well, the links are hard.
Okay.
The links are hard. It's a little complicated on the ICC website.
If you have the order, I'd like the order forwarded.
You want to see what Lisa's adding?
Just email.
I will send you guys links when appropriate and documents when appropriate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from residents? Okay, seeing no one, let's go to reports. I'm sorry?
Good evening. My name is Rich Kazaritz, 8 South 336 Vine Street, Burr Ridge, Illinois. I've been a resident for 16 years. I've been in the area, grew up in Hinsdale for going on 40 years, and just felt compelled to address the board. I applaud your efforts in creating the economic development. It is a guideline, and as a 30-year commercial real estate broker specializing in new development opportunities across Chicagoland, from 4 acres in downtown or Hinsdale to several hundred-acre developments in the collar counties of Chicago. I've been to hundreds of these meetings before and have experience both with plan commissions and city councils in dozens of communities. And I think the framework of which was created through your thoughts on the community development plan will be well received in the development community. As a personal experience in dealing with the plan commission here, I do see a disconnect between what the city council is looking for in terms of providing direction. I also see a disconnect with what the village is looking for from all of the elected officials and the plan commission to be conveyed to staff so they can talk and be representative of what can be accomplished here. I think Steve and Doug do not get the credit that they're due, but I think a part of that is due to the fact that they're not given the kind of direction they need to advise developers when they come into town, so that they feel that there's a sense of knowing where they can go, where there could be issues, but be welcoming to these developers to come in town, because right now it's like the red carpet's rolled up and it's very difficult to do business here. That is the impression that this community has out there. And what happened last week is a perfect example. We got into some discussions regarding land use, highest and best use for properties in town. The comprehensive plan is dated. Things have changed. The recession created a whole new sense of how we do business. Our people in town are aging. This town is aging. It's not getting younger. We have no place for people to go that want to downsize, that want to live in a smaller but luxury home. And the fact that we would get caught up in a zoning district that talks just about lot size rather than lifestyle. This wasn't about lot sizes. This wasn't about anything to do with lot sizes. This was taking a property that you could park 800 cars if it were developed as it were zoned. Complaints that we had were traffic, okay? It was proved through an independent study that the traffic would be 5 times less with this type of development. But because of the way the zoning code is written and the fact that we were trying to go through a plan unit development, we couldn't get over that, which makes no sense to me. This community isn't just a community of residents, it's a community of business residents. I'm a founding director of the Burr Ridge Bank of Trust. Started that bank, named it after Burr Ridge, and that was my idea. I was the first person that even talked about putting that bank there. And there was never any discussion about not calling it Burr Ridge Bank and Trust. That tells people that we want to do business here. That's the impression we have to give people. We have to look at what's good for the village as a whole, not just what's good for a few people. And unfortunately, you all know, the people that come out and talk at these different public hearings, they're the ones that have something negative to say. All the rest of the residents, if they have something positive to say, they're not as likely to come out. That's just human nature. So I think in reference to what you just did with what you voted on, this economic development as a guide, is going to be very helpful. I totally agree. It sets a tone that has been missing in this village since I've been here. So I applaud you. I understand there'll be, different developments that'll come in that'll look at that plan, but you got to look at everything. It's just a guide, but it sets the tone, and we need to set a new tone in this village that we want the village to grow. We want it to be benefit to the residents. We want to support our businesses by encouraging more residents to move into town, giving them the opportunity to stay in the town that they love and can move from their big houses to a smaller house and be able to walk to the village. So I applaud you. Open mind is a wonderful thing, but now we got to show people that we can deliver and that we mean what we say we can do. Okay? Thank you very much for allowing me to address the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Any other residents like to address the board this time? Now seeing no one, we are back to the reports and communications from village officials. Trustee Rosso?
I'd like to remind everybody that our annual car show is coming up. It is on June 12th from 10 until 2. You can register online or with the new Burr Ridge app. You can call Corvette Mike's. You can call the Village Center and speak with Janet Kowal. It costs $10 to register. It's a wonderful event. The Blues Brothers will be entertaining. And I know Trustee Francis, this is your 9th year or something bringing out his cars. So it is a lot of fun. The kids love to walk around and see the cars. You get to vote on the car that you like the most. And hopefully it'll be wonderful weather. So please come out.
Trustee Francis?
A couple of things. It's $10 registration for participants. Spectating is free.
That's the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Would Steve or Doug like to bring the board up to date on what transpired with the weekly home proposal?
Sure. Many of you know that there was a public hearing last Monday, proposed 75 residential unit development located just to the west of the Marriott Hotel on a property that currently is zoned for office development. At the end of the meeting, the petitioner was asked if it was clear that what they presented, and I think they did a professional job in the way they presented it, but what they presented was not going to meet with the approval of the Plan Commission. They were asked if they would like to more time to reconsider their plan and adjust their plan. They said no, they did not. They wanted the Plan Commission to vote on that issue. They closed the hearing, and it was unanimous. The Plan Commission was unanimously opposed to the plan.
To the design.
To the plan as it was submitted to the Plan Commission. And as a result of that, the petitioner, seeing a unanimous recommendation of the Plan Commission and feeling that they could not, for whatever reason, financial reasons, whatever, adjust their plan, has withdrawn their plan. So their plan is currently off the table. If they come back after they've had a chance to look at it some more, they will have to go through a brand-new public hearing process, be a whole new set of public hearing notices and so forth, and the public will be notified in the event that they come back. That's pretty much what transpired.
Is there...
No offense, Steve, but what I heard, and I was there, was that Weekly Homes was asked if they could reduce the density some, and the answer was yes, they could reduce the density some. The request was to reduce the density in half, from 75 lots to 36 lots.
That was one Plan Commissioner.
Understand, but that's what prompted the...
I disagree. He was...
That's when...
It was clear that they could have come down some, and he basically refused. And if he was given 2 or 3 opportunities to...
Question was, can you reduce the density some? The answer was yes. Can you reduce it in half? He said, no, I can't commit to that.
That's not why they tabled it. That's why they didn't table it. They closed the hearing because he didn't want it to be tabled. And so that's really the bottom line. So it's dead, the project's dead, and if it comes back to life, it'll be new life, and it'll be a whole new hearing.
So, any other updates needed?
Thank you for updating the board. And Mr. Hennessy was right about something about communication here in the village. And this is the 21st century. We have electronic this, website that, Facebook over here. There's so many means of communication, and yet the residents are still uninformed about things that are going on in the village, important things. For example, public hearing signs are blowing down, letting the residents know about public hearings for zoning variances. Agendas are not on the website, on the village website. Meeting minutes are not on the website. Public hearing notices are not on the website. And homeowners associations are not notified for public hearings. I mean, Steve, you and I have talked about this, and Doug, we've talked about it, and these things are being corrected. But it's sad that in this day and age, these things are still happening. And Mr. Hennessy's right. Communication is a problem. The residents need to know. Now, I'm not suggesting we put every nuance on Facebook or something else. We have an official website for the village, and that's the go-to place for instantaneous knowledge for residents. Okay? And that needs to be up to date, 100% correct. And so the village residents are informed, and if they want to come out here and speak on a topic or learn about a topic or give their testimony on a topic, the opportunity to do so, and not finding out about it from their neighbor or their friend or after the fact. So that responsibility falls on you, Steve. You're the CEO of this village. It's your responsibility to make sure it happens, and we're expecting it. Thank you.
One correction. I believe I'm the CEO of the village, but he's the village administrator.
CAO.
CAO.
I understand the point.
Chief Administrator, Chief Administration Officer.
I understand the point.
And that certainly would be a great topic for you and Steve to have to follow up with. Any other response, Steve? Any other reports, updates? Trustee Paveza.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to have Steve have staff call around to the 10 or 12 surrounding villages or cities and see what kind of feedback they're getting on the ComEd smart meters. Can that be done, Steve?
Yes, it can.
Okay, thank you.
You'll probably get nothing because nobody's aware of it.
Pardon?
People are not aware of it. So
We'll find out, like you said.
Sad.
We'll find out. I'm asking, is there input from 10 to 12 surrounding villages? If not, but there might be. We don't know. I don't know, that's for sure.
Not that I've heard, but I certainly can call.
Any other reports? Trustee Scapa?
I just wanted to say thank you to the Veterans Committee and the staff of the village for having a wonderful event on Saturday for the Armed Forces Day, honoring our military. It was a wonderful event. Couldn't have been a more beautiful day. So thank you to the Veterans Memorial Committee and staff for putting that together.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And my last report, I would just like to report that we finally have ice cream in the village. Our restaurant, Sticks and Stones, has added a very famous ice cream from the south side of Chicago called Plush Horse Ice Cream just this past week. So I just want to start getting the word out. A lot of people have moved here from the south side, already know about it, but they started scooping it this week. So I thought it was worth noting. So now, final item on the agenda is the comments from non-residents.
Good evening. My name is Dolores Cizek. I'm a former trustee and a former resident. I have several comments. First of all, I would like to commend Janet Colwell on the program Saturday. I thought she did a very good job putting that together. Secondly, I would like to comment on item 8A. I haven't seen this economic development plan, but it sounds to me like it's over the top for such a small village. And as far as signage on I-55 goes, I would be very opposed to that. I remember when the previous village president, Gary Grasso, wanted to put billboards up along I-55. I'd like to see a copy of that development plan. On item 8B, I'm upset from being a former trustee that all of these variations were granted on this fence. This was a 40% variation on the height from 5 feet to 7 feet. It was 100% variation on whether it was going to be open. The village requires it to be 50% open. It's going to be a solid fence. And it was a total flip-flop that the fence is going to be in front. The regulations call for it to be in back. Let's see here. I would like to comment briefly on the weekly proposal. First of all, there's some background information that this board doesn't have. Number one, it seems to me what was wrong with the weekly proposal was the density. It was 22.5 acres, and you take out 20% for the road, parkway, and the other things. It brings you down to 18. And if you want 75 single homes, that's about 12,000 square foot lots. The adjacent area is zoned R3, which is half-acre lots. So it was not in conformity it didn't even come close to conformity. Secondly, it's my understanding that many of these homes would have many steps. If this development was intended for seniors, the first thing any doctor will ask, and I have a long history with cardiac, how many steps do you have to go up to access your house? Now, in my case, when I had open heart surgery at Loyola 15 years ago, and some other procedures, we had a ranch house, and I had only one step to access the house. There was an article in the paper several months ago. It was back in November that Willowbrook is holding their meetings in the office, in the audience portion of the police station for all of this calendar year. And they meet twice a month as this village. That will be 23 meetings. Is Willowbrook paying the village rent? You have janitorial costs, you have utility costs, you have gas and electricity. Is the village asking them to pay rent? Or is the village acting like the Chicago Park District, who let the NFL come in with their draft last year and waived $1 million in rent? Did you waive rent?
No rent. No rent.
No rent.
No rent.
You don't think that the village should charge
I don't have an
rent?
opinion, Dolores. I answer your question. No rent. I don't make those decisions. The answer is no rent.
That was not right. The village is incurring costs to let them use that space. Why shouldn't this village recoup those costs?
Okay, thank you, Dolores. Any other non-residents? Seeing no one, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Baveza?
Yes.
Trustee Grasso?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Bolas?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Schiappa?
Yes.
6-0.
Meeting is officially adjourned.
we have, do we still want to do goal setting? What's that?
I'm exhausted.
It's up to you. I mean, I was hoping to get this thing started about 40 minutes ago and probably be done by